Oh my God. Rudy, thank you. Thank you. I do that all the time, you guys. All the time. And the one time I don't ask for a thumbs up to tell me that you can hear me, I hit the mute button and I unclicked it, but it didn't go through. Okay. Can you hear me now? I think you guys can. There's a little bit of a delay. I'm putting in a note into the text. Okay, I will wait and not get started until you can hear me, okay? Hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear. I'm just waiting. I'm looking down to see what comments are coming in. Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? I turned my microphone on, I promise. Yay! Okay, we did it. Lamisha, thank you. And no, it wasn't just you. It was me. Okay, so what I was saying was, hello, happy Friday. We are here for, I think we're on day 6. I kind of lost count for the Nursing School Mindset Edit, where I will be doing these live videos for 35 days, except for this coming Monday, Tuesday. I'm going camping for my husband's birthday because that's what he wants for his birthday. And I love him, so I'm doing it. I'm not a big camper, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to have fun. So I won't be doing this Monday and Tuesday, but we'll be back to our regular schedule on Wednesday. So today we're talking about some attitude adjustments to make before starting nursing school or going into nursing school, kind of that transition from a pre-nursing student to an actual nursing student. Okay, so let's talk about what these are. The first one is learning to be flexible. So a lot of times nursing students, coming into the program, you had to work your tail off, right, to get to that point. You're super detail oriented, you're super organized, you're really great at planning things out and sticking to a schedule for school, for your life, for everything, because you had to operate, to function at a really high level in order to be competitive and get into your program. What I will say about this is those qualities will serve you well in nursing school, but you need to be a little bit flexible with this because nursing school, maybe you've noticed if you've started already, not always the most organized situation. Things will happen, change, get added, get subtracted, get moved, and it often happens kind of last minute. So things like where a class meets or where a skills lab is located, or due dates could get moved. Hopefully they get moved back, right? But due dates could get moved. A project could get changed. If your instructor gives you the lecture slides before class, which is great if they do, sometimes they're given to you, midnight the day before class instead of earlier in the day, or maybe even right before class starts. Maybe clinical assignments are changed or flip-flopped, or where you're going that day for clinical. So there's just a lot of things that are often up in the air. Pop in the comments if you're already in school and you've noticed these types of things happening. So what I would say to this is save yourself some frustration, accept and understand that things are going to happen. Things are maybe not going to be as organized from the school's perspective as you would like them to be. And to that, I would say if your school's not super organized, your instructors aren't super organized, or kind of feel like maybe they're putting things together at the last minute, they might be. Schools are really short-staffed. It's really hard to get people to leave bedside nursing, where they make typically a lot more money, to go and work for a school, even though I think it would be super, super fun to work for a school, but it might be a bit unorganized. That means you have to be way more organized and pretty flexible, okay? So Marisol says yes, she's experienced that. Anne says absolutely, she's learned to be a lot more flexible. So what I would say to this is, one, just kind of adapt a mindset of being more flexible, go with the flow, accept that things are going to happen. If you get upset about it, you're wasting time being upset about it. You don't have time to waste. You've got to get stuff done and move on to the next thing. Use a pencil when you're working on your planner. If you use a paper planner, a pencil or an erasable pen, because I don't know about you, but when my planner is a mess, it drives me bonkers. Or use like a digital system like your Google Calendar, where you can easily move things around. And then just be the grass is what I always say. So when there's a storm and there's wind, what happens to the tree? The tree falls, right? But the grass just sways in the wind. So you're going to be the grass, okay? Be the grass in nursing school. So that was number one attitude adjustment. Number two, and this more applies to students who had to get straight A's, score really high on their T's because they applied to a merit-based program, and you were probably pretty darn competitive throughout that process. So the number two adjustment is to kind of set that competitive attitude aside. So again, that pressure to get into a merit-based program can be really, really intense. I applied to a merit-based program. I applied to some lottery-based programs here in California as well. Didn't get into any of those because it's a lottery. It's like chance, right? As long as you meet the minimum requirements, you apply along with thousands of other people and they draw names out of a hat. I didn't get into any of the lottery programs, and I knew I probably wouldn't the first time around. Students would wait years to get into those programs. So my goal was, I'm going to get into the university and I'm going to get in on my first attempt, and I had to get straight A's in order to do that, score really high on my TEAS exam to do that, because the competition was absolutely just really, really crazy. So if you're heading into school with that kind of attitude, that mindset, those habits, you need to maybe shift that, because now, guess what? You're in. You can relax a little bit. Not relax like let down on your study habits, but you can relax that competitive nature. You're not competing against anybody anymore, okay? These are all your colleagues now. They're not competitors. So one of the first things you'll learn, maybe you'll learn this really early on, like in clinical, you might learn this, is that nursing is a team sport. I would not be able to function as a nurse without my coworkers there to back me up. Like yesterday, I had the busiest day in the recovery room. I don't think I sat down between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. except for my break. It was absolutely busy. I had a patient who had so much severe pain. I was doing absolutely everything I could for this poor man. And then on top of that, kept desatting whenever he closed his eyes. So, a lot of, hey, wake up and breathe, buddy. So a lot of that. And then on top of that, I got another patient who had 4 peripheral nerve blocks, and those are a PIA to set up. I'm not going to lie, they take a little bit of time. And if 2 coworkers had not come over to help me set up those 4 peripheral nerve blocks, it would have 100% derailed me. It would have taken me an hour to do that if I was trying to do that and all the other things I was doing. So nursing is a team sport. So now your competitors are now your colleagues. So I would say replace that competitive nature that, it might be really hard for you to let go of that, but work really hard to let go of that. Replace competitiveness with more of a spirit of collaboration and working together. This is like things like maybe sharing your notes. Don't get taken advantage of, but you can share notes with your study group. You can quiz each other. You can 100% do your part of group projects, and please don't be the group leader for every group project like I did. Huge lesson I learned the hard way. Offer a helping hand. If you see a classmate, a colleague struggling in clinical, if you see one of the techs or CNAs struggling in clinical, hop in there and offer to help. We're all in this together. So that was number 2. Set your competitive nature at the door. Be more collaborative and cooperative. And then, let's see. I have these numbered wrong. I just realized that. The next one is to be humble. So what I say to this is, you're super bright. You would not be going into nursing school if you were not a super bright person, because it attracts hardworking, good students. And in order to get through those classes that you have to take to even apply, you've got to have it up here, right? But nobody likes a know-it-all. So here's what I would say to this. You're really book smart, right? Of course you are. At this time in your nursing journey, you're super book smart, but you don't have a lot of hands-on experience yet. So when you're in the hospital and you're learning hands-on nursing from whoever is precepting you or whoever you're working with that day, be humble. Adopt a humble and thankful attitude. I know sometimes in the clinical setting, especially now, like burnout is just crazy. Be as agreeable as you can. Be humble, be grateful. Your gratitude could be just like one thing in that nurse's day that makes them feel like they're making a difference. And I'm very serious about that. A lot of nurses feel really burned out in their careers right now. They may not feel appreciated by their patients, but maybe they can feel appreciated by you. And what I would say to this, if someone is teaching you something and it's not the same way you learned it in school, that's okay. I will tell you, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Have you ever heard that saying? There's more than one way to do things. And just because someone's doing something differently than you were taught doesn't mean they're doing it wrong. They're just doing it differently. As long as they're following patient safety, infection control standards, all of those things, they're still doing it right. They might just be doing it differently. So resist the urge to criticize in the moment, but you could have curiosity around that. You could say something along the lines of, I learned it differently, but I can see how your way still works. Can you explain the rationale behind doing this step before doing this step, or something like that? And I'm sure that they would be happy, hopefully in most cases, to explain that to you. But if you do see someone doing something that is clearly not safe, let's say they're hooking up an IV to the Y site without scrubbing the hub first, or they're going to do a push medication and they're not scrubbing the hub first, or doing hand hygiene or anything like that. And maybe they want you to do that. And maybe they're like, you don't need to scrub that. I mean, hopefully nobody would say that, but this is just an example. You can always fall back and blame it on your nursing professor and say, actually, my school, my clinical instructor requires me to do it this way. Okay, so that you don't have to feel like you're putting yourself out there. You can just blame it on your school. My school requires that I get the measuring tape and actually measure the inches before I place an NG tube, rather than, a lot of times in the clinical setting, we just do it by holding the thing up and marking it. But your school may want you to measure out the exact inches. You're going to do it the way that your professor says that it's most safe. Okay, so with that, be humble, be grateful, and accept that you're super book smart, but you have a lot to learn at the bedside. And then the final one is to learn to accept criticism with grace. And we're going to talk all about this for a whole session coming up. I don't remember exactly which day, but it can be a really harsh reality for a lot of students to be under such careful scrutiny and to get so much feedback, like all the time, right? Pop in the comments if you feel sometimes like you're just constantly getting feedback in nursing school. You're getting it in clinical from the nurses you're working with. You're getting it in skills lab a lot. You're getting it in skills checkoffs. You're getting it in sim lab, like constantly getting feedback. And you can view that as criticism. I view it as constructive feedback. I view it as a gift because it's there to make me a better nurse and a better person. But it can be a little bit confidence defeating if you let it be confidence defeating. So just accept that you're going to get called out for not doing things properly, especially in the beginning. Your nursing clinical instructor is not going to have any qualms about saying, why didn't you chart this? Like, very direct. Or why didn't you do this? Or did you do this? My first semester clinical instructor was scary. I'm not going to lie. She terrified us, but she made us very accurate. She made us very thorough, and I will forever be grateful to her for that. Her criticism, I consider it her feedback, was harsh, but it was extremely valuable. So when you get that feedback, when you get that constructive criticism, don't get defensive, okay? If you start off by saying, yeah, but, and then blah, 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 okay, you're doing it wrong, okay? You don't start off with yeah, but when someone gives you criticism. You start off with thank you, and then you discuss maybe where your rationale was, what your thought processes were, so that you and the person giving you feedback can identify where you went sideways and help get you on the right track. That's what they're there for. That's what they're doing. They're there to make sure that you're safe, that you learn, and that you become an amazing nurse, okay? All right. Okay, so Marisol says, I really appreciate all the feedback. It definitely has been an adjustment. Yeah, so yeah, they can be very straightforward, and that can be a little off-putting, right? But it's just the way it is, right? Patient safety is the most important thing, and they're going to be very direct about that. Okay, you guys, so that is it today. This was a shorty. I, again, am going to work today. For some reason, I'm working a ton in July when I decided to do all of these videos. But tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the one most important personality trait that will set you up for success in nursing school. So I want to see you back here tomorrow for that. So have a great, fantastic Friday, and I'll see you then. Bye.